The secret to success is good leadership. And good leadership is all about improving the lives of your team members or workers. Coach Tony Dungy. This is Youth Unity, and I'm your host, Sian. Our special guest is Dr. Rachel Monárrez, the Superintendent of Worcester Public Schools. Entering her third decade of working in education, she holds a vast knowledge base for academic excellence, professional development, and collaborative efforts. She has served as a teacher, school principal, an assistant superintendent, and deputy superintendent. So let's give a hearty welcome to Dr. Monárrez to Youth Unity. Hello, Dr. Monárrez. How are you doing today?
I'm fine. How are you?
I'm good, and I'm very excited to interview you today.
I'm excited to be interviewed by you.
Let's start out with, why did you choose teaching as your career? Did any incidents inspire you?
You know, there actually is an incident that inspired me, and it's kind of strange to think about it, but and I'll try to condense the why, but it's something that happened. I grew up in Los Angeles, California, and there was a social justice incident that happened. It's called the Los Angeles riots. And when that took place, it was a result of a verdict that happened with an incident between Rodney King and law enforcement. And then long and short of it is the Los Angeles area got very upset, south central Los Angeles, and so they rioted. And when I saw what was going on, and I saw people taking things from stores that were basic necessities like diapers and milk and water, I thought, no one should ever want basic, if you're gonna steal something, right, which is what was happening, why would you take the basic necessities? You would take things that you don't need, right? And so I thought, there's something wrong if people, that's what they're taking. They must really need that. I don't want anybody to have to need basic necessities. How can I contribute to that in my career? And I decided I wanted to really help the youth so that they have all the opportunities and access, and they never have to want for basic necessities.
Wow, like the Los Angeles riots turned you into a superintendent. That's a really good thing to think about, but also a little bad for the Los Angeles riots.
It's an interesting way of coming about my career, huh?
Yeah.
But yeah, that's what happened.
In your opinion, is the curriculum different when you were a student and nowadays?
Yes and no. So there's basic parts of what every child in the United States needs to learn, and that has stayed the same. Of course, we need to learn how to be good readers, writers. We need to do our basic mathematics. There has been a heavier emphasis on science since when I was in school, and more emphasis on history and kind of cross multicultural type of history, so that more people see themselves reflected in the curriculum. So that's newer than when I was in school. But what's really different, and I really appreciate what is happening in schools now, and I'm going to say in the last 10 years, is that we have really been working towards preparing youth for what future careers will look like, and giving them opportunities to experience that in internships and going out into the field and then earning credits as a result of that. We didn't do that when I was in school. Everything you did had to happen at the school level. So now we have more access to really industry type of learning, and that really helps the youth to decide what do they want to do and what might they not want to do.
Yeah, preparation skills for basics, like for basic jobs, like are needed, because like school, after you get out of school, it's a totally new world outside.
And it shouldn't be, because if we're really preparing you for adulthood, then what we do in school should start to mirror that.
Yeah.
And so that's what we're trying to do now in education. That did not happen when I was your age.
I've been almost teaching for almost 3 decades, and now you're in a leadership role as a superintendent. Which job did you most enjoy, and why did you decide change?
That's a great question. You know, in education, there's these different layers, if you will, of being an educator. So I loved classroom teaching. I actually started in the 5th grade. That's my favorite grade ever. My daughter just became a 5th grade teacher, so it's near and dear to my heart. And I chose to take different roles along the way. because as much as I loved the 32 children that I taught, and sometimes I taught up to 34, I wanted a greater impact on more children, right? And as a classroom teacher, the person that supervises you is your principal. And so I thought, if I can do this in my classroom with 32 children, what might I be able to accomplish with teachers on a greater level? And how can I continue to grow that? And then once I was a principal for a time, and it was like, I wonder what it would be like. Can what I learned as a principal leading others, can I replicate that at the district level? So it's like, you know those little dolls that go inside each other? So the teacher is always in the core. I am always a teacher at heart. I started teaching young children, then became a teacher of teachers, and now I'm like a teacher of principals, but I stay connected with that. To your question of what's my favorite, I love being a teacher.
That's like pros and cons to like that thing, because if you're a teacher, you kind of like get to witness child's like firsthand, but like when you're a superintendent, you get to make a better impact. So
it's hard to know, but that's exactly it. I love watching children learn. I love watching a teacher do their magic, because a really good teachers, that's what it is. And then I love to have a greater impact and really honor the profession, because I believe in it so deeply.
And would you like to share any of the good memories or proud moments when you were a teacher?
I would. I can remember this one time. So I always taught children who English was their second language, right? So and I taught older kids, 5th graders to 8th graders. And so I remember when I was a 5th grade teacher, I had this group of students, and I wanted them to keep practicing their language. So I created we did what's called a hot seat. Have you participated in a hot seat?
Nope.
Okay, so what you do is you group children first, you make groups of kids, and then there's one person that's going to be the representative for that group, and they become the expert. We were studying something in history. And so the student that became the expert, she happened to be one of the children in my class who was very shy and very uncomfortable speaking in English, but because she had her peers to help get her ready to be in the hot seat, which just meant she was going to be a panel representing her team, she sat very proud and confident, and then she represented her group, and she did it both in English and in Spanish as necessary. But to watch her and the pride she had to be able to represent her team, and I think, if I remember, I didn't make it a competition, but it was like this kind of debate, and her team really excelled. It was really nice to watch the confidence that she had, how proud her team was of her, and what I saw in terms of her language development and her reading abilities.
Turning a shy person into a proud, like confident person when she's kind of like in the hot seat, it's kind of like you need tons of encouragement, and it's wonderful to see how her peers all helped her accomplish.
I'll never forget I can picture her smile on her face. Lupe.
How are you liking Worcester so far? It's like 3,000 miles away from Los Angeles, and it's a totally new environment, new climate, new people, and a new community.
Yeah.
So how are you managing?
It's very, very different. Today's a great day because the sun is out. So that's always very nice for me. I didn't realize how much you get used to seeing the sun on a regular basis, and you take it for granted. So growing up in Los Angeles, I saw the sun a lot. Here, I'm learning to take it in when I see it, because it may go away pretty darn quickly. The city of Worcester itself and the people here are incredibly welcoming. They are, I really appreciate the diversity of the community, the desire to really rally around what could be the possibilities for Worcester and do that together. Those are all great pieces or aspects of the community that I'm really enjoying. And then I still wonder at the beautiful architecture here and the history that exists both in Worcester and then in Massachusetts. That's something that is coming from the West Coast is a nice addition.
Yeah, I agree. Like the history here, like you think it's almost done, and then you go to the historical museum here, and you realize there's tons more. I didn't even scratch the surface. So
Yes.
like it's always good to learn about a new environment and the properties it has.
Absolutely.
You have been superintendent of WPS for the last 2 years. Did you find any areas that needed improvement, and what have you done to overcome them? And building off of that question, what policies have you implemented lately?
Great question. So, in every large organization, and so a school district is an organization, there's always opportunities and areas for improvement. One of the big ones that I heard when I arrived, because I did a pretty long listening and learning tour asking families, what's great, what are some opportunities for improvement? Getting information out to families, access to information was an area that we needed to really work on. I learned, Worcester's got great programs for our youth, but not everyone knows about them and not everyone knows how to even access them. So improving on that. Another opportunity that we put in place was we have really hardworking teachers, very hardworking teachers, and they deeply care about the youth. And I see it in classrooms all the time. What we wanted was to make sure that they have all the resources and tools and an alignment, so that no matter what school you go to, whether it's Lakeview or it's City View, that there's a similar teaching and learning that happens. And so we had to put together created a lot of different guidebooks, is what we've called them, so that teachers kind of have a toolkit that they can use, especially new teachers, or if you get a change in a grade level, that they can use to deliver the instruction, because it's not as easy as it looks.
Yeah.
Yeah. And then the policies, so one of the policies, a more recent policy, so policy, first of all, is the official policy is adopted by the school committee. So they're the ones who make the official policies. We bring recommendations to them, many times based off of what they ask us to bring. So one that is just recently looked at was a cell phone policy, which was a really big deal.
Yeah.
Because for middle school and high school students especially, the cell phone is like connected to their hand and then their hips and everything else. And how do we help them to know when's the right time to use the cell phone and when do you need to put it away, because you need to engage in a conversation, you need to engage in the learning, right? So we needed to put a policy in place to help our teachers so that children learn when do you use the cell phone and when is it not appropriate. We want to teach them the right ways to use something, because it's not going away. But we also believe that if you ban it and you say absolutely not, that's when they're going to use it more, right? So we wanted to find a happy medium. So that's an example of a policy that is being considered right now by the school committee.
Yeah, that's actually a very good policy, because like if you ban it, more people try to use it, and then if you let it freely, the same scenario happens, and then so it's very hard to find a medium between these two completely different things.
Absolutely, and very extreme difference. Yeah.
And I've heard in your other interviews that you hope to make the students of WPS smarter than computers. How are you planning to do that?
So I already think they are smarter than computers in the interpersonal, right? How they work with people. So the computers take the information that we feed it, right? And they combine it all together, and that's what AI is. AI takes all the different algorithms out there, all the different pieces of information, but humans are the ones that are putting it in there, right? What I want for our youth is to be able to say, so if this is what an AI algorithm gave us, now how do I use that as the human and bring the human element to it, bring the creativity of the human eye, the human touch, the way we interact with each other, and elevate it up. So think about, the computer takes us to this level.
Yeah.
But the youth and the intelligence that we have and the human factor takes it up here. That's the way I see, and I want our youth to see AI as the baseline, because we have so much more to offer.
Yeah, I think like plagiarisms related to that, and like when we're doing a project, the first thing kids look to, if it's a reliable website, they always plagiarize stuff from it. But like when you read it, you know it's plagiarized. It doesn't have kind of like the human slang. It's like more from a robot.
Absolutely. And teachers know.
Yeah,
They know.
should just know.
They've known forever. When I was in school, they knew we were using encyclopedias, and teachers know when something's been plagiarized. They know when it's plagiarized off of a website. They'll know when it's plagiarized from ChatGPT. They know.
How are you planning to integrate AI into school education, because it's like affecting global good and bad?
Yeah, so we actually have already started. We have teachers. There's a teacher at Lakeview who is already part of this. They're called a Spark teacher. They're teachers who said, you know, I want to learn how to integrate AI and other technological advances and really spark innovation in my classroom. That's the whole idea of spark innovation in the classroom. And so they're working with our education technology department, and they are further developing their ability to deliver lessons and really putting together projects that the youth do, right? Because it's all about what the children do, to demonstrate their understanding of how do you use AI for the creativity, the innovation, and the whole vision of a learner that we have put in place in Worcester Public Schools. So started with the teachers who are most interested. Going to continue to grow those teachers. We actually had them present to a group of principals that came here from Denmark about a month and a half ago. And they shared how they're taking artificial intelligence and putting it into practice in our schools. And so we're starting small to then learn from them and continue to grow it throughout the district.
Yeah, the person in our school, Ms. Sukowski, like is helping everyone use technology, and she's like, when we have a problem with technology, she's the first person we go to.
Yep.
Because we always know she's gonna have an answer and she's gonna help us avoid it the next time.
Exactly. And then as a result, the teachers at your school are going to continue to grow and develop in that area, and the students as well, right? So we start small and we let it grow while we are putting what we call the systems and the structures behind it so that we can grow it as a district. What we're not doing is shying away from it. We can't. That's not fair to you and your peers. We have shifted away from information tech, an information society. We have entered artificial intelligence. We have to make sure you're prepared.
Yeah. You have been trying to execute strategies to further build the bridge between WPS and parents. How, like meetups like the Gathering for Excellence, how often do you do these, and what do you expect the outcome to become?
I love your questions. So the Gathering for Excellence will be an annual event that we'll have. And the outcome for that is to really just kind of like the state of the district. How are we doing? Just to keep parents engaged with the big picture where we're going as a district. Every year I'm going to shift it a little bit depending on how far we are along in our strategic plan, or what I like to call the Worcester Public Schools promise, our promise to our future. So when I did it in January, it was to launch the promise, right? And to let everyone know it's here. Next year it'll be how are we doing on it, and where are we moving forward. So that's annual, but that's a one-time event.
Yeah.
Then from there, I have what I call what's a family and community engagement roundtable. We started it last school year, just around this time last year, and we invited principals to send, about 5 parents I wanted parents that represented a variety of different kind of parent groups, if they will, at their school, and they meet with my directors of family and community engagement and myself 4 times a year. We have community members that come too, and we pose questions to them. We might pose potential policies that the school committee may be considering to get feedback from them, but we also have them help guide us on things that they'd like to see going on in the district, and then we let them know how are we improving upon it. So the parents are always asking for additional ways to really be engaged with their schools, and that's what we want to help them. Parent engagement doesn't happen at the district level. It happens at the schools because that's where the children are. So we just use those spaces, or the family and community roundtable, to hear from parents, so I know what systemically we need to do better for the schools. So that's 4 times a year. And then we just launched a web-based platform called Parent Square. And so that is intended to take all the other apps that our parents have to use. Every school had a different app, or not every school, but we had a lot of them. And it was really hard for our parents. Can you imagine having to log into this one and log into that one? So our goal is to streamline that so that next year they have the one app. I think Parent Square has a single sign-on. I'm confirming that, which will just make life so much easier for our parents. And what's beautiful about it is you get to choose what language you want to communicate in. So the parent can say, I want to receive my information in Spanish, and they'll get everything in Spanish. And then they can send messages back in Spanish, and then it'll be translated to us in English, or whatever the home language is. So that's a huge benefit for us, because Worcester is so diverse with our languages.
Because of these efforts, last year you got the top 25 superintendents to watch nationally by the National School Public Relations Association. And surprising part is you got this a year after you came. That's amazing. Congratulations.
Thank you. I know I was pleasant. I mean, we don't do this work for any accolades. So when we get them, it's like, oh, that's nice. That's nice. To be recognized. It's really good for the district.
I've heard that next year's school budget has decreased by 22 million. How are we gonna overcome this situation?
Yeah, that was a hard hit, because we were moving, and things were happening. So we took the opportunity over the last, I want to say 4 months, to really take a look at what do we spend money on, and are we spending it the way that we should? Are we getting a return on investment? So, there were some things that we've always been spending money on, or we've been spending it for quite a while, that we couldn't say this is really making a difference for children. So we were able to really streamline some things that that we had in place. So, for example, we had a whole lot of different technology resources, some of which teachers were using, and they were using a lot, and others that were not being used much. The ones that were not being used much, we don't need them anymore, right? We took a look at the number of students assigned to certain special programs and said, do we have any kind of overlap of services? Have we doubled up on some things? Have we not been monitoring it well enough? And we found quite a bit there. So between that and then reducing some administrative positions and just looking at different ways that we've spent money and said, all right, well, we just don't have that kind of budget this year. What must we keep, and what can we do without? And that's how we came down to cutting the 22 million. Now, what's really important in that, 22 million by itself, huge number, right?
Yes.
It's a lot of zeros. But when you think about the total budget of Worcester Public Schools, we have just about $500 million. I know. So that's a lot of zeros too, right? So 22 million is 4.4%. Still significant. But 22 million for just you and I by itself, well, I don't think we'll ever see that in our lifetime, right?
Yeah.
Well, you might. You might. I shall not. So I just think that that's important to put it into a greater picture and context.
If someone donated money to WPS, what would be your first priority?
Well, it depends on what kind of money it is. So if I were to receive $10 million, let's say that, $10 million, usually someone who donates that kind of money, they tell me how they want it donated to, right?
Yeah.
But if they said, $10 million, do whatever you want, I would look at what would be sustainable for the district. So I could say $10 million, I'll take care of staff. But that's only going to take care of it for 1 year, right? And then the salary, right? And then it's gone.
Yeah.
I would like to take $10 million and I would invest it probably into our facilities so that it is longer standing. It's something that we can, like the bathrooms at many of our in our schools, not very nice for children. Some bleachers at some of our high schools, we don't even have them. Those kind of things that are more concrete, that even after a year, we'll still have it.
What do you vision for the future of WPS?
So we have a vision of a learner. Have you seen that at your school?
What do you mean?
It's our plan or our vision of what we want for youth upon graduation.
Oh.
And so the vision of a learner includes skills and dispositions that we want every graduate to have when they walk across the stage. We just put that into place. We worked on it last school year. We finalized it. We just started it this year. So if you're not as familiar with it, it's because it just started, right? But the Spark teachers that I spoke about before, they are learning how to take the vision of a learner, those skills and dispositions, and put it into classroom practice each and every day. And those skills and dispositions are the curious learner, an effective communicator, an empowered individual, someone who is a good problem solver, and then finally an engaged community member. So those are the skills and dispositions that we want for all of our youth upon graduation. So behind each one of those themes are these skills that we know that if you, no matter what field you go into, if you're very strong and you have those skills and ways of being in those areas, you will be successful. That's my vision for Worcester Public Schools, that every child graduates with the skills and dispositions to be ready for the future, that 21st century, soon to be 22nd century, of which we don't know anything about. Right? We don't know what it's going to look like, but we know that if we prepare you to be innovative, to be flexible, to be nimble in your thinking, to know how to work in teams, to know how to see problems and look for solutions while being empathetic and willing to listen to others, those are huge skills that will make you a successful adult.
Are those kind of like paintings with the solid background?
That's it.
Yeah, they're like scattered across our school.
Yep, that's exactly it.
I've been going to WPS for the last 6 years, and if you want to hear my experience at my school and all the extracurricular activities, I'd be happy to answer.
I would love to hear what your experiences have been. 6 years, that's a long time.
I would like to take this time to acknowledge Lakeview School, because every year I've been in WPS, I've been going to that school. Starting in kindergarten, my kindergarten teacher, Miss Z, she helped me learn how to read English, write English, and speak English, which were all the basics. And my first grade teacher, Miss Simon, second grade teacher, Miss McLaughlin, third grade teacher, Miss Shea, fourth grade teacher, Miss McGinney, all helped me in every part of the journey and made me improve. Even though I was good, they always helped me improve, and they always found my weak spots and made them know more.
What is your favorite subject?
Science.
Science is your favorite subject? What's the subject that, oh my goodness, you do it because you know you have to, but if you could do without, you would?
It's just going to be math.
It's math?
Yeah.
So you love science, but not so much math?
Yeah.
Interesting. That usually those two go hand in hand. What is it about math that's just like, nah?
Probably writing equations and like solving them, algebra, like one step you're gone, you're like, then I finished, oh, I messed up this part, then you have to erase, do it again. Yeah.
So that one possibility of error that can just throw you completely off.
Yeah.
And science, what is it about science that you just love?
I'm curious about nature. My favorite thing is about biology, and everything in the world used to be biology before humans took over. And my science teacher in 5th grade, she has been like working for 40 years, and she has been using her experience as a tool to help us learn. Like, we're just in class doing an experiment, and we don't even know that we're learning.
That's the best kind of learning, isn't it? It is.
And our social studies teacher, he's the funniest teacher ever, and makes everything like fun. Like, you're learning, but it's fun too. Like the perfect combination. Not too much fun, not too much learning.
Lots of joy and laughter, but pushing you to think. Yes. You know what I really appreciate about Lakeview School is there's a heart right in the middle of that school. I can just feel it every time I go in there. And listening to you, I'm more affirmed that that heart exists, and you experienced it for 6 years, so that's wonderful.
Yeah, all the teachers they have taught me. Like, sometimes I go in their classroom for some kind of survey or collection thing, and they're like, "Hi, Sian," and then mostly my first grade teacher, and she points out to to their class, and this is Sian, and gives a brief introduction about me. And like I've always liked my first grade teacher, which moved back to kindergarten, and she's the best. She always acknowledges me, and everyone in the school community always says hi and how are you doing. So it's like walking down the hallway is like very good, and you feel joyful. Like if you're feeling sad but you come to school, it's like it's gone. It's just magic.
Of course, yeah. That's that sense of belonging. You asked me what I want for Worcester Public Schools, so that's the other side of it. As much as I want every child to have that vision of a learner and graduate with that, I want them to feel that no matter what school they're at, that they belong there, that they're happy to be there, that they're joyful, and that people are there, all the adults are there welcoming them and pushing them in their thinking and their abilities.
Yeah, all of the principals and the current principal, Ms. McMahon, always I always say like the foundation of the school, because they're still the future.
Yes.
You never know.
Yes, yes. Well, with a future, like if you represent, and I believe that you do, the children in Worcester Public Schools, we're in a really good place.
What makes a good leader in your opinion, and what advice do you have for kids who want to follow your path?
It's interesting. I'm going to start first with the advice, because I have a superintendent student advisory, which are high school students that I meet with monthly. It's about 5 students from every high school. And this school year in particular, we spent extra time on developing their leadership skills, really developing their voice, and how you can advocate and influence change to happen. Change doesn't have to be always
Major.
Yeah, I mean, there's different ways, right? Leadership is about influence. There are leaders who come in and they say, this is what I want you to do, and this is where you're going to do it, and it's not the way I lead. I believe in really that the power of leadership is about building people, about building programs, about building possibilities. I very much, I think that a strong leader is one that builds others up so that they can walk away and things continue to blossom and bloom. And then you never know what that person's going to do to then build it even further. So I do believe that leadership is about building. It's also about listening, and it's about asking really good questions. When you ask questions and when you listen, you learn so much. And it really helps to keep you humble, but also hungry about what is out there and what those possibilities can be, so that you can build them, right? So it starts to become like this cyclical type of thinking. I think all of that is really important for our youth. And as you grow and you grow into your style of leadership, because everybody's style of leadership is different, you have to know who you are, what feels right for you, and then stay committed to that. If you do that through a listening lens, right? And if you do that by asking questions, and you do that by seeing what the possibilities are in people, there's nothing that you cannot achieve, because you do that with others, right? So that's what I think about leadership, and that's the message I really try to impart on the superintendent student advisory. And it wasn't so much me doing it, it was others doing it with them, and then I would just remind them of how they are leaders, because leadership is not about a position. Leadership is about how you behave and how you treat others.
Stage fright is like a major thing happening, like even sometimes I am, because like everyone there, it just gets me kind of like, it puts me back in my shell.
Yeah.
And also building upon, the good leader is kind of like listening to everyone's opinion, especially when you're in a team. So you can mash up everyone's opinion and make it into one thing that everyone agrees on.
Not always easy.
Yeah.
And you may not always agree 100%, but I always believe that you can find a win in something where people feel like their fingerprints are at least on it. They're part of it. Yeah, absolutely.
When I think of a leader, I don't think of just one. Like if you're in a team, I think the whole group's a leader, because they're listening to everyone else's, not just one person. So everyone's putting a hand in there, so.
And I believe the best leaders actually allow others to do it, right? Not where you sit back and you do nothing, because then that's not really leading, right? But where you are empowering others. And then when you see somebody struggling, then you step in and you support, because you want people to continue to grow.
Yeah.
Even if that is with stage fright.
Dr. Monárrez, you're one of the best leaders I've ever known, and I'm honored that I got the opportunity to interview you. Your answers were very insightful. I got to learn more about you professionally and what you do, and about your leadership, and how everyone's taking a part in the district. I believe with you, WPS can become the best public school system in the whole country. Thank you for your time. I'd like to end with a quote from John Quincy Adams. If your actions inspire others to dream more, learn more, do more, and become more, you are a leader. Thank you.